Howdy folks, Jamboree here. I know that a lot of you are feeling very overwhelmed right now, facing complicated feelings, but I want to help you through this in my own little way. So I'm going to be recommending 10 cartoons to watch while stuck in quarantine. I'm not going to go into too much detail about each of these animated shorts and TV episodes, but rather point out that they exist and how they can help you right now. Okay? Are you ready? Let's begin. Right now, a lot of people are in panic, whether they are hoarding toilet paper or freaking out in general, but staying calm is the best thing you can do at a scary time, as hard as it is. As strange as it sounds, my recommendation for this comes from King of the Hill, with an episode titled Helenium. In this episode, it's the year 1999, and everyone is freaking out about the Y2K bug. At first, Hank is pretty nonchalant about the whole thing, but as the story goes on, he starts to panic and strips all the fun out of Christmas for his family. I know that the Y2K bug and the coronavirus are drastically different pandemics. Heck, some advice told in this episode might not apply to the virus. But the episode is still very useful for putting things into perspective. It's quite eerie how much it captures the current atmosphere we're facing this year, right down to people hoarding toilet paper.
There's a run on triple ply bunny soft.
What about quilted aloe vera?
I don't know. It's not my brand.
Well, it's my brand.
However, it's the episode's message that you should really take home, to not let your worst fears consume you or ruin your happiness. Things are scary, but keeping it together is the best you can do in these circumstances.
It's a shame to see all our friends and neighbors acting so selfish. Fred Nicholson cut an old lady off yesterday in the checkout line.
So yeah, if you want to see Mike Judge satirize pandemic culture with his trademark dry wit, give this a watch. Another hard part about isolation is finding ways to keep yourself entertained. Sure, you can play video games and watch TV, but sometimes you need a break from technology, and one such way is embracing your imagination. In the SpongeBob SquarePants episode Idiot Box, SpongeBob and Patrick buy a TV, only so they can use the box to play with, which completely bewilders the stuffy Squidward, who just takes the TV they threw away and keeps it for himself. I think what we can learn from this cartoon is that a closed space is what you make of it sometimes. With the right level of creativity, you can pretend you're anyone at all or do anything you want, no matter how old you are. Seeing SpongeBob and Patrick having the time of their lives with a simple cardboard box is actually quite contagious, and will maybe get you into the spirit of being a kid again. It also helps that this episode is full of SpongeBob's renowned witty absurdist humour. So watching this episode will not only inspire your alone time to be more fun, but also bring you lots of laughter and joy. Jerry's Game, a Pixar short from 1997, is about an old man called Jerry who plays chess against himself at the park. The best thing about Jerry's Game is that it can teach us about coping all alone, a position that many people might be in during quarantine. What's inspiring about Jerry himself is that he genuinely enjoys his own company and makes it fun by embracing a character for both sides of the chess game. Even though he's in his old age, he's willing to dart between both sides of the table to help himself keep the illusion alive. Don't be afraid to be like Jerry, love your own company, and make it special. If an old man can make being alone exciting, so can you. Fun fact, Jerry's model would later be reused for a character in Toy Story 2. Perhaps you're longing for the company of someone willing to share a good life story with you. Luckily, there's an old Aardman short that I grew up on that will fill that void. Whenever I would visit my grandparents down south, I would ask to watch a VHS collection of Aardman shorts. And on this tape was something called War Story. This short uses a real recorded interview with a British World War II vet called Bill Perry, and animates what he says into a biographical documentary. It's a really charming short that comes up with inventive ways to make Bill's story visually entertaining. So, if you're feeling very alone and the pandemic is bringing you down, let Bill Perry keep you company and tell you how he coped through the Blitz. So, maybe you're the kind of person who is cheered up by anything wholesome, like furry animals or adorable little babies. Well, I have a recommendation for you then. This is Yuan Fen, a short that I don't want to spoil too much about. But don't let first impressions fool you. This is more than just a cute story about a baby befriending a cuddly panda. It's also one whole metaphor for adoption. I won't say how it relates to adopting a baby, but I will say that the twist will make your heart melt. Being stuck in quarantine is hard enough, but I can imagine how difficult it is for those separated from their romantic partners, Or maybe you're single and this new isolation has made dating even harder for you now. Let me introduce you to Tanabata, a Japanese anime short about a pastry chef selling romantic box gifts. He gets to help customers pick the right one and see them give the candy to their crushes. This is such a cute little anime with bright, vibrant colours, delicious looking chocolate, and adorable romances. It's so lovely. Check it out whether you're single or taken. I'm sure that some of you are worried about keeping yourselves together while being isolated in a closed-off space. It's an understandable fear to have, but consider checking out the recess episode The Box to calm your nerves. In this cartoon, tyrannical playground supervisor Miss Finster introduces a new punishment called The Box, and uses it to manipulate TJ into being better behaved. TJ becomes traumatized by the box to an unhealthy obsession, but when his friends hesitantly trick him into returning to the painted square on the ground, he makes the epiphany that it's not worth getting worked up about 4 dumb lines, and he overcomes his fear. I hope that this recess episode can help you keep calm in your own box. So maybe while you're stuck in isolation, you feel like giving up or don't think you'll make it through. And while you're perfectly validated to feel that way, I think there's an animated short that could inspire you. Ascension. In this computer animated cartoon, 2 hikers climb a mountain to plant a Virgin Mary statue at the top, and one hiker has prosthetic limbs, which often gives them a disadvantage. This short finds humor to the hikers' obstacles, from prosthetics falling off to a bird getting in the way, but it also conjures up themes of camaraderie, determination, and survival. We want these 2 to reach the top, and if they can make it, so can you. At difficult times, it can be hard to laugh again, especially if you're living alone. But laughter is a great medicine for the blues, and if I had to suggest a funny cartoon, I'd totally go with the Dover Boys. This animated comedy short from Looney Tunes director Chuck Jones stars university boys Tom, Dick, and Larry as they have to rescue their beloved fiancé from the evil crook Dan Backslide. This is honestly one of the most hilarious cartoons I've ever seen. The dopey Dover Boys make for amusingly silly heroes, but it's the villain who steals the short because he's so loud and theatrical.
Confound those Dover Boys! Oh, how I hate them! I hate Tom! I hate Dick! And I hate Larry! They drive me to drink!
Joke after joke hits like a bomb, and I end up laughing until I cry. If you want to switch off from all the trouble of today and have a good giggle, then this is the animation for you. So, I can bet that a lot of you are scared for the future, worried what will happen when this is all over, and how everything will go back to normal. Well, I actually have a very special recommendation for those dealing with this feeling. Growing up, I used to listen to the audio cassette for the Percy the Parkkeeper stories, and years later, I found out that these tales had been animated. I think that one story is perfect inspiration for finding hope for the future, an episode called After the Storm. In this episode, a terrible storm happens overnight in the park, and the next day while at work, Percy finds out that the animals have lost their home. So, Percy agrees to help them find a new one. I think that this episode is a great example of a story about overcoming the aftermath of something overwhelming, with the animals being given time to grieve for their destroyed house and then facing the tough challenge of finding a replacement. But this is also just a really nice and relaxing show to watch. Perfect if you're feeling anxious or tense. The animals are all adorably cheeky, the art style is lovely, and Jim Broadbent's calm, sweet voice as Percy is a delight to listen to.
Lovely smell of pine. Very nice.
Feeling uncertain about how we'll cope after all this? Then give After the Storm a watch. So, those are my suggestions for which cartoons you can watch while in quarantine. If you have a recommendation, please let everyone know in the comment section below. We need to work together, and one way is sharing entertainment we know that could help others. I hope that you enjoyed this video. It's the kind of content that I want to make more often. As fun as it is to deeply analyse movies, I actually get a lot more out of finding out how a film can help somebody. Keep calm, look after yourselves, follow health advice, and stay inside. You're going to be okay, you're going to get through this, and I believe in you. Love to you all, big hugs, and cheerio.